Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm going to be taking a look at 81, 82 Topps basketball. This is in response to a video that Jeff from Sports Card Investor just did, opening up a rare box. It says $4,000 rare box, 81 Topps basketball. And I happen to have a few 81, 82 Topps basketball cards, and I'd like to show you and go over some things that I actually learned from Jeff's video and talk about Topps and a few things like that. Um, One of the things that I did learn from Jeff's video is that there's 3 different regional boxes that you could get, and they would have super action. How you could, well, one of the ways you could tell is the super action. He called them inserts. So there are different cards you would get based on either if you were on the East Coast, the Midwest, or the West Coast. And there would be different, I would consider them subset cards. He called them inserts based on that. And I didn't really even realize that, but I have a card from the East. This is Julius Irving, Dr. J. And I have a Marcus Johnson. I also have some other ones from the Midwest. And you can see on the top there, East 104, Midwest 108. Didn't even realize that until his video. The other thing I did learn, a couple other things I learned while I was looking I was really looking to see how those cards would come out of the box, how centered they were, because that's one of the things that's why he was interested in opening this box, $4,000 box, was to try to get a PSA 10 Larry Bird or Magic Johnson, because it's low pop in a PSA 10, and so they're very valuable cards. One of the reasons why is because they come off, they don't come off centered, so they're off centered quite a bit. And I knew I had one of my favorite cards is this here Dr. J card, Super Action. And look at the centering on this one. I don't even understand how they would cut it that way. You're kind of getting into the card next to it, and it's kind of an odd cut. It's not even like straight or anything. It's like sideways. On the back, you can tell even more how off center that is. But this card I've always been like a favorite card of mine. I worked with somebody from Philadelphia. I was going to give him this card because he's just a little different, and he's got that Philly swag pretty good, but he's just a little bit different. And I was going to give him this card and tell him, you're a little bit off, a little bit off, and I've got a card for you that's a little bit off as well. And it's very fitting. He was a Philly fan, of course, in the 76ers. And so it would have been a great to give him that. I just never did because I switched jobs and everything, and it didn't get around to it. But yeah, this is always one of my favorite cards. And a couple other cards I want to show you. There's like 4 or 5. There's like 5 or maybe 6 that are bigger cards in the set. I'm looking at a 97 Beckett here just to get a sense of the cards that are the big cards. The Larry Bird is in 1997, $22. That seems to be the big card. The Kevin McHale, which is only in the East, is a $20 card. The Magic Johnson 15 the Larry Bird Super Action 12, the Magic Johnson Super Action 8. You can't get all those cards because you get a box that's either the East, Midwest, or the West. As far as the base, after the Larry Bird and the Magic Johnson, the two big cards are Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and this one that I have is, I got this in the mid '90s, and I got it from a classified ad that was sight unseen. Just they listed, I think it was these three cards that I'm going to show you, and then it just their guess of what the grade was, and then you just buy them based on the names and the grade that they gave it. And anyway, this is one of the cards that I got in the mid '90s. Actually, fairly well centered for these kind of cards. Had a ding on the bottom corner, and the right corner isn't perfect either, but the centering is decent. So, yeah, I like that card. That card, raw in 1997, was a $4 card. And I had these raw, of course. The other card is this Julius Erving, Dr. J, and that was also a $4 card in 1997. And this one is off-centered top to bottom pretty badly. And as a kid in the 90s, I really didn't pay much attention to the centering being off a little bit. But then you go back and look at it, and you can clearly see how bad the centering was. Left to right, not terrible on the Dr. J, but top to bottom, pretty bad. And you can see, like I said, this one, the Super Action, would have been, so the base cards, these two cards, you could have got in any of those three boxes, depending on the region. It didn't matter. You would be able to get the regular base cards, and there looked to be 66 of the regular base cards, and then there were different regions or different. I don't know exactly understand how that worked, but it looked like 60 card number E67 through E110 for the East, 60 MW for Midwest, 67 to MW 110 for the Midwest, and then W67 through W110 for the West. So as we were watching Jeff open all those packs, there's quite a few packs, 36 packs. He was getting quite a few of the regular set cards, and as you can imagine, he was getting, here comes the same card again and again and again. There's only 66 cards in the regular base set. He had the box that was for the Midwest, and so there was a Bill Laimbeer rookie card, and it was listed at $3 in 1997, and that was kind of one of the big rookie cards that was only in the Midwest version of these, and you wouldn't be able to. That was the other thing I learned. You weren't able to know what version of the box or packs that you would get until you actually open them up and see what you get. And yeah, so they ended up with, they didn't want that, but they ended up with the Midwest, and so they were getting a bunch of Bill Laimbeer rookie cards, and the cards they were missing out on were the Kevin McHale rookie cards, because that was only in the East. The Larry Bird Super Action card, that was a big card, that's only in the East. And then the West, Magic Johnson Super Action, and the Cream Super Action. Those were the other cards that they weren't able to get because they were only able to get the Midwest. The other cards I want to show you, another Super Action, which is regional only. This is Marcus Johnson, which I did show you that. One of the things I wanted to point out, Marcus Johnson was a pretty good player. These are his playoff stats, averaging 23 points a game. And I was a Bucks collector, and I traded different teams, I believe, and it was through the mail, trading through the mail in the 90s, through this classified ad book that was for collectors. I traded different teams, and they would send me Bucks cards. So I got a bunch of these. Marcus Johnson, and the centering's pretty good on a lot, actually on these here, some of these. But looking at them now, and some of these might even get a 9. Maybe I have one that would possibly get a 10. But they're just slightly. They're slightly not perfect. Slightly off center. Most of these, just enough that it would be hard to get a 10. But then I got several of those. But then some I got with fish eyes. There's a noticeable fish eye there. And there. So I got like 4 of them with fish eyes, and then I have some gum stain ones. There's a couple gum stains there. That's another thing that we were noticing when Jeff was opening these, that I think they had, I don't remember if it was a Bill Laimbeer rookie card or Magic Johnson or something that had a gum stain. So yeah, on occasion, pretty much the back card of every pack is going to have, but on theirs it was on the back side. That's a little unusual. These here are front. But I was going to say about Marcus Johnson, they just kind of blew by. They got a bunch of Marcus Johnsons, they just blew by it. I don't think Marcus Johnson gets, as if he wasn't even that great of a player. Didn't even mention him at all. But I just want to point out, Marcus Johnson was not only in the movie White Man Can't Jump as Raymond, who he had a pretty funny part in that. Not just an actor, not just Michael Jordan's poster on his college dorm room, which Marcus Johnson has a funny story about that. At the Space Jam set, Michael Jordan had a bunch of former players just hanging out, playing some pickup basketball, and Michael Jordan was trash talking Marcus Johnson, and but Marcus Johnson got him back because he remembered that Michael Jordan had a poster of him in his dorm room, and so Jordan couldn't say too much to that. He said, "Oh yeah, I guess I got to respect you. You were pretty good," and so yeah, he was good. And Michael Jordan had his poster in his dorm room in college. Let's take a look at his stats. He was one of the first, or maybe the first, point forwards, where you were a forward, but yet he would act like a point guard, bring the ball up. He averaged 25 points, 0.6 points a game in his second year, almost 20 points his rookie year. And then after that, the coach said they didn't want just one player to score so many points. They wanted to spread the ball around, so his points dropped a little bit after that, 21.7 and 20.3. But Yeah, he was a very good player, and I didn't want that to go unmentioned. And of course, now pretty famous in Milwaukee because he is the voice commentator on the on uh, for television games, and he has a podcast, and he's with the Bucks a lot. So the other thing is Sidney Moncrief was a very good player, and Bob Lanier. Here's a super action for Bob Lanier, a Hall of Famer, and you can see the Midwest 109. And I've got a few Bob Laniers. They're not terribly centered. These aren't. Some of them. This one here is pretty bad top to bottom. This one here is pretty bad top to bottom. But some of them are decent. And then I've got some team cards of Marcus Johnson and Quinn Buckner, who was also he was a TV analyst, I believe, but I don't think it was with the Bucks. So it was another. I think it was with the Cavs. Marcus Johnson, 20 points a game. Junior Bridgman, 16.8. Bob Lanier, 14.3. Sidney Moncrief, 14. I've got several of these. They were pointing out, they were getting Celtics team leader cards and pointing out that a lot of those were pretty well centered. These seem to be pretty well centered as well. Oh, this one's off. Yeah, I guess it doesn't. They're no different than the other ones. Although some of them I'm getting centered, some of them are not. And I didn't see not one card as off center as this one here in his box open. They were top to bottom mostly was the issue. A little bit left to right, but top to bottom seemed to be the big issue for Jeff. I don't know if he got $4,000 worth of cards back. Like I said, he got multiples and multiples and multiples of the regular base cards, and he had a bunch of Midwest super action cards and Bill Embiid rookie cards. But I don't know. Maybe he does get $4,000 worth after he grades some cards. I'm not sure, but it was just interesting to watch somebody I'm not going to spend $4,000 for a box like that. So it's nice to see when someone else does open one up, and you get to see how the cards do come out of the packs, and nothing came out like this though. This might be a unicorn, although I doubt it. There's probably a lot of them that were miscut this badly. And so that was, even it says right here, condition sensitive set. So did learn a lot from it was very informative when somebody opens up a box from that long ago. And then it was the oddity of 3 different regions. And so that's my cards from the 81-82 Topps basketball set. Just wanted to share that and my comments on Jeff's video, which is kind of interesting. And I'll have that in the description if you want to watch that one as well. And thanks for watching.